YouTube. So this is a custom engine. I've gotten some questions and stuff about this, so this is going to be the video installing it in the monster truck. Alright, so the most common thing is, where did I get it? And I got it from a guy on Facebook named Kevin Kirk. K-I-R-K. He builds these out of Delrin, plastic, and aluminum. This one is mostly all Delrin. He's got a really big backlog. He just builds these at home. He designed it all and makes them himself, so you can't just run out and buy one. It's gonna take a while. I talked to him about building one, and it's been about a month and a half, and he still hadn't been able to get to me. He had 27 of them in the works the other day. I talked to him. So my buddy Richard Cook got this one, and he kind of wanted to build something else, so I traded him a Blazer body for it. These cost, depending on how much metal you get him to make, anywhere from around 130 to 160. That's what he charges. It's not bad. You consider the amount of work that goes into it. So part of the deal when I traded with Richard, I had him go ahead and do all of the wiring for me, because I just don't have a steady enough hand to run all that. So he did all that, and even made little holders for the plug wires, and it's top-notch stuff. If you're not familiar with him, check out his Facebook page, and you can find him on Instagram at RC4wd. He's got some pretty cool stuff. He's got a neat take on the hobby, and he's a master with the styrene. And he does work for people and stuff too, so if you're looking for some custom body work or anything, check him out. But yeah, so we're going to look at putting this motor into the monster truck. Alright, so this is roughly where I want it to be. It will set back a little further, just a little. There's barely enough room under that hood for this big old engine, but I got my belt setting, my blower belt setting right on the front there, so we'll be back a little bit further. I know everybody, it's with all RC, there's kind of two schools of thought. It's function or fashion. It's hard to have both. And this monster truck is not going to be the greatest performing, and it's not decked out. It's pretty much stock. It's got some old school chassis kit that you can't find anymore, and it's got what do you call those? Yeah. The steering stabilizer, I can't remember what you call it. I hate it when something slips your mind. It is late. It's like 3 in the morning. But it's got some stuff done to it, but it's running the stock transmission. It's got the dual stock can motors. It's not anything special. A little cheap ESC that I had for something else that I just used it because it was for dual motors. It runs, and it has a scale speed, so I'm happy with it. But going with the hard body, and if you hadn't seen anything, I haven't done anything on this in a while. I've started building a full custom race interior. I picked up some cool racing gear from Exclusive RC. Got some of their Kirky aluminum racing seats, and their lit 3D printed tack and gauge pod, like a Haltech gauge. And I made a sheet metal dash, and I started doing some stuff. I'll show you it here in a minute, in case you hadn't seen the other videos. But you can check them out. But this is roughly the height that I want the engine, so it's going to be up off the frame a little bit. I am going to mount it to the frame, not the body, just because there's nothing really out there on the front of the Blazer body. It needs something strong, because the motor is pretty heavy. Even though this one's all Delrin, that's got a bit of weight to it. But that'll help also having the Delrin on the bottom, because that's easier to drill into, so I can drill in some things and make a mount. And hopefully it doesn't turn out to be too big of a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the body off, and we'll try to figure out how to mount this thing. Alright, so I cut the base piece for my idea here on how I'm going to mount this. Now I need to mark and cut some of this angle, and it needs to be close to the width of the oil pan. Close. We'll sand it down and make it perfect. Alright, so now I'm going to cut that and clean up the edges, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, so all that work, this is the mock-up of my engine mount. I went ahead and used all aluminum, mainly because that's all I had that was large. I needed a wide piece for that base. And two, it'll save weight, because this still, you know, it's 4-link. I hope one day to upgrade the shocks on this truck, because they look like old T-Max shocks or something. Get something a little more realistic, maybe get some big King shocks or something. I don't know. I don't even know what monster trucks have on them these days. So, yeah, something for later, but try to save the weight. I think this is going to be about the right height. I needed it up off of the frame a little bit, so this should be good and stable. I've got to make sure I get everything lined up right and drill some holes, and hopefully I can bolt just a couple through the oil pan to hold it to the angles, and then just a couple through to the flat piece, and then I can start looking at its position in the truck. Right now I've got to make sure I get it centered, because I don't need it offset in the truck and it would throw off the balance of the weight, and then could mess everything up too. Just look weird setting off to the side under the hood. So I'm gonna tinker with that and do some eyeballing. Alright guys, so the oil pan comes off the motor with a single screw in the bottom, and there's screws inside of there to remove other bits. I'm not going to take that apart because there's no need to. So what I've done, I've gotten some long bolts and some lock nuts, and I'm just going to go ahead and bolt all this through. I drilled my holes. I forgot to film that part. I get a little caught up in the actual building sometimes. I forget I need to show you guys this stuff. My holes aren't perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. So they do work. Each side is off a little bit, so luckily it's off a little bit evenly. So the bolts are a little long, I know. The next step down I had was just too short. Wouldn't even reach all the way through. Come on, get these things started. I had these nuts. They're an odd size. They were off of some servo bolts that I got. I think they're gonna work. Maybe. See if I can find the right. Nope. Well, I hate that when something gets stuck down in there. Let me get that bolt out of the floor. I'm gonna go ahead and put all this together. You can see how I'm gonna work it here. So there's no sense in making y'all sit through and watch that whole mess. Alright guys, so I messed up the oil pan a little bit. I thought it would be cool to make an access point on the bottom here where I can just take the bolt out of the oil pan and remove the oil pan, or the whole motor, and leave the oil pan in there. And I used a big giant drill bit, and it was hard to get through that aluminum, and once it did, it went right through the oil pan. So it's holding for now, but I'm gonna have to get in touch with Kevin and see if I can get another oil pan from him and swap it out, because yeah, one good jump and that motor will break loose. It's not really, barely hanging on. So big oops, but luckily it wasn't too major. I mean, it's just one little part. Luckily it wasn't like the block or something major of it. Alright, so it's all together, it's all bolted up. Now I gotta look at putting it in the truck. So you can see it all come together now. It's gonna be putting the body on kind of tricky, I'm afraid, because it needs to be able to, these screws, the way I mounted the body, have to go in these holes on these mounts I made and slide back. So, not sure how well that's gonna turn out in the long run for taking the body off and on. But it is a monster truck, and I've got everything mounted, electronics and the batteries in the back, so hopefully I don't have to take the body off and on. The height came out perfect. That couldn't be any better. My Zoomy stacks are parallel with the hood. I have considered cutting the hood and putting it on where it kind of conforms around the motor and the exhaust. Not sure yet. We'll just have to play it by ear. I haven't done anything on this rig in a while, so I don't know still what exact look I really want to do. So yeah, next step is going to be drilling some holes in that nice rare Juggernaut frame and bolting it down through there. Alright guys, I got the holes. I just tapped them with a screw for now, and I only did 2 because I'm still not sure yet. This body's going to be off and on a lot still because you know, we haven't gotten very far, so I didn't want to have it all tightened and not be able to get the body back off in 5 minutes when I got to change something else. So I am going to go ahead and put the body on, and then I'm going to put the screws in from the top, which I tapped it through the aluminum and the aluminum frame once I get the motor put back on. So it's a bit of a process, but it's gonna look pretty cool. Alright guys, I got it all mocked up, put the roll bar on, put my interior in, motor is mounted down. I only put 2 screws in it for now because again, I don't know how I'm gonna leave everything yet, and I didn't paint the motor mount plate yet. I think I'm going to paint it all black, but I might have to take it all apart anyway to replace the oil pan on the motor that I messed up. So yep, there it is. Let me get you a closer up look. Yeah, I think I will do something with the hood to hide some of that, some of the opening, just to come around and cover the core support area too, because that doesn't look very good, doesn't look very scale. But yep, that's it for this video. I appreciate everybody watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Follow along on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook too. And I've got a Flickr photo page where I have all these cool pictures of the rigs as I'm building them. So, yep, I appreciate it. You guys stay tuned for more.